Good morning. I'd like to call our regular council meeting in November to order. Welcome to everyone here in our audience. Also welcome to, we have a visitor. She's gone to her car to get some more paperwork, and we'll introduce her later. Bruce Turner has agreed to offer our invitation this morning.
All right. Let us pray. Almighty God, you are creator and our sustainer. You are our light and our fortress. You are our wisdom and our strength. We ask for your guiding hand to lead us through this meeting. May we approach our tasks with wisdom, and may we approach our members with respect. May our conduct create an environment of cooperation and kindness. Thank you for helping us to accomplish our work this day. We ask these things in your powerful name.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. First thing on our agenda is approval of the minutes. I know, council, that you all got the copies of the 3 minutes that need to be approved from September the 22nd and 2 from October 13th. I'm assured that you all have read them. Do I hear a motion to approve these minutes? Thank you, Jim. Second? Second, Bill. Discussions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Our agenda needs to be slightly amended. We need to delete agenda item number 8. Our city attorney had to be in court this morning, and he apologized. So do I hear a motion to adopt this agenda with a deleted item? Thank you, Jim. Second. Thank you, Bruce. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 5 is remarks by your wonderful mayor, whoever that person is. I want to thank all our employees who are working together and taking care of the city business without a city manager. They're doing a wonderful job. Thank you. Public Works is working hard to clean up our streets after our deluge of rain and our wind and all that other good natural stuff. We appreciate that. Also, they had to remove our hay bales. Unfortunately, the water and the wind has we had to take them to hay bale heaven, and they are gone. And we will miss them, but that's just the way it is. And I asked James where he took the hay bales, and he says there's a farmer who takes all our painted hay bales and feeds them to his cows. So I'm not sure how good that is, but okay. Yes. I want to thank Debbie Curtis and Cheryl Becker, who performed wonderfully by planting in our new city park planters. If y'all have noticed it, there are planter screens that were built by Dan Vollmer, and they have now planted in them, and they look wonderful. And also the POA donated the money to have that all done, the dirt and so forth. Thank you to the POA. Karen Fleming, thank you for getting our webcam put on our website. The marketing webcam is now on our website, and it looks good. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for taking the 32,000 pages of minutes. We like that. Thank you. Also, I want to thank our screening committee, who is now on their second rounds of interviews for a new city manager. They're working hard and well to find a candidate for this position. All right. We now will go to item 6, which is committee reports, and I'm going to start with our mayoral advisory committee, Mr. Oliver.
Thanks, Mayor. A couple of things. There was a recommendation made by the committee concerning the former pond across from the mailboxes in the city park. And Allred did quite a bit of work talking with DNR as that area is designated as primary trout stream, which limited what could be done there. And I think there were 3 recommendations from multiple meetings that were had. Originally started out as a mountain bog area. Doesn't quite meet that criteria. And they decided that on the wetlands area is probably the primary use of that, which could be put in a conservation easement eventually, and also would create an area of conservation for the city, and they committed to help identify the plants that would grow there naturally, etc. So there was a recommendation that that's probably the best way to go. Nothing's been decided, nothing's been voted on yet for that. As it originally started out, where there was feedback that people wanted to dredge that out and repair the dam. There was a bid for that. It was approaching $300,000. And the permitting that would need to take place for that would be extensive and take quite a long time because of its designation from the DNR. So that's where we are with that, and that's now on the agenda to consider this wetlands. Not today, but on the future once we do work on that. The other update, building on Highway 246, there were some issues with some of the electrical exposed on the back end. I believe that was being fixed yesterday. Some minor repairs there to make that safe. We've got initial concept drawings of modifying the interior to convert that to a community center and a visitor center. Some of that needs some fine tuning, and then we need to go down the path of getting some cost estimates on that before any recommendation for the future that's made. There was also some recommendation to reopen the visitor center while we're in the process of deciding what to do with the building. So that recommendation was made by the council, of the committee as well. And then the 2 leases have been extended for another year. They both have a 30-day out, both sides have that option. So at this point, at least we're breaking even on costs of maintaining the building. There's been some continuing conversation around options of what to do with this area that we're sitting in right now in this building. Because the plans for the church are to potentially exit this building into their new building fall of next year. As everybody knows, all this land is owned by Harrison Merrill. There's been continuing conversations with him. It's very difficult to do anything minor because of the winter demand. There's not a winter demand generator in the area. So a major development that would happen here really would center around potentially, doing some conveniences here or maybe a limited amount of conveniences. But none of that's going to happen in the short term. There are a lot of hurdles to get over that. Very complex issue. So related to that, the focus on the committee at this point is going to be on where do we want to be in 5 years? What do we want to see happen in Scott Valley 5 years from now? And get that solidified so that we know what it is we need to be doing and what needs to be invested, to get there. Once we get a clear vision of that, where we want to be in 5 or 6 or 7 years, then we can back plan that to today so that we make appropriate decisions moving forward as we manage the city. So that's the update on the mayoral committee today.
Thank you, Bill. Now Now we have our summative report on our marketing committee by Mr. Bob O'Keefe.
We just had our final marketing committee meeting for the year on Tuesday. The next meeting we will have is January 14th. We all decided we could take the holidays off and do what we need to do during those times. This is a brief report of what we've accomplished.
Bob, can you put that microphone closer to your mouth so I can hear you, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
We had our very first meeting in May of this year, and in the months prior to that, we tried to structure the committee and bring on the representatives. The marketing committee consists of representatives from the city and the club and the POA, two apiece. The timeshares were invited several times. They declined. Hopefully in the future they will decide to join us. We have meetings every month. They're available on Zoom. We will continue in the short term to do Zoom meetings for safety and because we actually get better participation because people can just tune in wherever they are. Now, these are a list of the accomplishments that we've done. First off, we accepted contributions from the city and the POA and the country club because we inherited an account that had $0. Additionally, the club has contributed meals, rounds of golf, lodging to certain visiting dignitaries throughout the course of 2020. And I think we have a very good cohesive group that works well together, good active members. Our first challenge was to establish and recognize branding for Sky Valley. We decided to adopt the Mountain View logo and slogan of Georgia's highest and coolest city that was actually created by a UGA graduate student several years ago. We are utilizing that logo and slogan in all Sky Valley advertising and communication. You know what the POA does, obviously the city does. The club, of course, has their own professional logo, which is great and perfect, and obviously they do some marketing on their own as well. To establish the brand, we created stickers. I call them oval destination stickers and bumper stickers. And we decided to distribute those to property owners and the specialty media that sponsored and hosted events in welcome bags and welcome packages and things of that nature. The stickers are available to residents at two locations, the City Hall and the Pro Shop. They can just go in and take one or two if they want to. They must be doing very well because I had to restock them recently, so I'm sorry to see them in the cars. There was a discussion of making magnets, but magnets are just too expensive to produce and then distribute for free. And you can't make small numbers of them because it's just too expensive to make a small version, maybe sometime in the future. In conjunction with the City Council, we conducted a survey of residents with marketing questions to determine how they became aware of Sky Valley and elicit some suggestions from them. Those were all available to everybody in the community. And we did use many of those recommendations, and we looked at where people come from and how they got here, and tried to make marketing decisions both to support where they come from and then to create new targets. We entered into a contract with Doug Holmesworth from Golf Life Marketing Georgia Golf Trail for a period of 1 year to increase awareness of Sky Valley to engage in a wide social media marketing campaign. On a monthly basis, there are email blasts that go out to at least 50,000 people, some or more. We have been in numerous publications for golf and also golf real estate. And we have decided at our last marketing meeting in October that we would continue him for 2021. We joined, when I say we, the city joined the Rabun County Chamber of Commerce, a meeting, discussion of how we can benefit each other, and our mayor now has a seat on the board. The mayor, the POA president, and myself met with Ford, Rabun, and the Chamber of Commerce to join and discuss areas of mutual benefit. The club graciously donated a Sky Valley golf bag for display at the new Rabun County Welcome Center, which even they say draws attention to Sky Valley as the golf location to be before all others, because there's a physical item sitting there. Through that meeting, we determined that the monies from the Sky Valley hotel and motel tax monies may be spent on certain direct marketing efforts out of the funds that we give to Forward Rabun. Sky Valley paid Rabun County the full portion available, 40% of our tax money of $7,703 for the 2019 year, and obviously we paid that in 2020. We do not yet know what will be available for 2021. Those monies were spent for the first mass printing of the Sky Valley stickers. And as I said, the stickers were printed, available to residents at 2 locations. The stickers were also distributed at the Mid-South Senior Golf event in a welcome package, including Northeast Georgia maps, which has our location and an ad in it. Golf balls and tees at the Chamber, also at the Chamber of Commerce Business After Hours event in November. At the Sky to Summit Run Race in mid-November, and to Drake Realty personnel at 2 different events in September and October. Our POA website was updated to include real estate pages that show all MLS properties available for sale. And at the time of my writing this report, I understand it's even fewer now. At this time, there's only 10 homes currently available for sale in Sky Valley, no condominiums, and 11 vacant lots. And this is the lowest number in recent memory of anybody that's been involved. The chairman, meaning myself, visited the Franklin Welcome Center, the Geico Rest Stop area at Welcome Center, the Rabun County Welcome Center, and the Forestry Welcome Center down near Tallulah Gorge to get marketing ideas and ideas for potential Sky Valley Welcome Center. I also joined the mayoral committee to tour the former visitor center that Bill referred to, and we're looking for ideas of possibly having the visitor center should that be approved. The photographer, Steve Dinberg, visited Sky Valley to take updated high-resolution photos and drone footage of Sky Valley. We received a presentation from him this past Tuesday, and will receive a proposal next week. This decision will soon be made whether to purchase his services and use his images in promoting Sky Valley. The purchase and use of the webcam and hosting services was researched. After several months of deliberation, the webcam was installed on the roof of the club, and we thank the club for making that available to us and providing the electricity and hookups to the web. It was activated in late October. The image spans Zoom that provides real-time current temperature and weather here in Sky Valley. The image can be seen on resortcams.com, the club website, the POA website, and obviously since Tuesday, our city website. We believe this would be a great tool to draw people to Sky Valley and support our Georgia's highest and coolest city claim, especially in the summer. The camera is expected to live or have a life expectancy of 10 to 12 years, and resort cams will host for the life of the camera. By the time we need another one, I probably won't be around anymore. The marketing committee provided appetizers and a drink to the participants of the Mid-South Senior Golf event in August. Approximately 85 people participated. We sponsored the Rabun County Chamber of Commerce. When I say we, I mean the marketing committee, which is the cooperative effort of the club, the city, and the POA. We sponsored that Rabun County Chamber of Commerce Business After Hours networking event in November. And it was hosted at the country club. Approximately 40 people attended, which was great attendance according to the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and we provided a light hors d'oeuvre buffet. Juanita, president of the Chamber of Commerce, is absolutely enthralled and would love for us to do it again, which we will probably do in 2021. We installed an updated new image on the billboard on 441 using our new logo and slogan as the basis, and also cut back the trees from obstructing the view of that billboard. We split the cost of the welcome package plastic bags with the POA. The POA uses them as welcome bags for new residents, and we have used them for when we need a welcome package for dignitaries. We paid for a welcome banner for the RunBums.com Sky to Summer race of this past weekend, and provided Sky Valley bumper stickers for the runners. We have agreed to run a full-page ad in the POS Realty Winter Magazine, which will be coming out in December. We specifically did this because many of the residents in the survey said their attention was brought to Sky Valley and specifically mentioned POS Realty quite more often than any other real estate. We ran half-page ads in the summer and fall editions of the Mountain Traveler magazine. An article in Sky Valley also appeared in the summer edition. It's available online and in print. As a matter of fact, the link was sent out to one of our email newsletters because it's still up and it's still available. You can read the article, which is very nicely done, as well as the half-page ad. They print 30,000 copies, distributed at 20 locations in 10 counties, and are connected to 8 newspapers online. We ran full-page ads in the summer and fall editions of Mountain Lake Publishing Vacation Guide, which is distributed in 700 locations in Northeast Georgia, also available online and print. We ran an ad in the Travel.com Northeast Georgia Visitors Map. We researched Sky Valley promotional video quotes to produce a promotional video. These quotes range from a little over 11,000 to almost 19,000. We decided to table that for possible future use because we quite frankly don't have those kinds of funds available. I contacted a Sky Valley property owner named Bill Thies, who owns several properties, rents them out here in Sky Valley, and arranged low-cost nightly rental of his condo for us to use for marketing committee needs, such as when we had the photographer come. And as I said earlier, the club has been very generous in providing some of that for when Drake Realty came, for example. We hosted 2 visits by Drake Realty Associates. Mr. Drake, the owner, was impressed by Sky Valley and set a date for his real estate agent to visit, tour, and have lunch. Drake Realty is a major real estate firm in Atlanta, and they were so impressed they plan to promote Sky Valley and schedule another day, probably in the spring, for his agents in Northeast Georgia to come and visit. Through Doug Hollingsworth, we hosted several golf riders to play, visit, stay, and have some meals or lunch, whatever the case should be. They were very impressed. We've already seen some results of the publicity with overnight golf trips to Sky Valley. We have also agreed to place an ad in another Northeast Georgia regional map for 2021. We designed the ad. That has not come out because that will be 2021 and that has not yet been charged to Park County. The balance of our account currently is approximately $5,000. I put together a report, some of these accomplishments for the groups, city, club, and the POA, who are in the process of determining what their contributions to the marketing account will be for next year. So far, everybody seems to be very pleased with what's been done this year and has seen results in whatever ways, various ways. I want to particularly thank the POA because they have already contributed for 2021, and they, both in 2020 and 2021, Tentative ideas and possible goals for 2021 is to contact the Georgia Department of Industry, Travel, and Tourism to see what benefits we can provide for each other. To contact TV stations to promote Georgia's highest and coolest city during summer months and maybe announce on the weatherman reports, and the people at Resort Camp decided they would try to help us do that. Maybe when the weather people are pointing at the map, they can say, hey, up here, the highest and coolest city, the temperature is now 70 versus 99, whatever it may be. Continue to run ads in Mountain Traveler magazine of vacation guides. Continue the ads in the regional visitor maps. We do plan on updating, even though it has been done to some degree, update the city website and add better visitor information, the things to do, and places to visit tab, to sell ads to local businesses. We talked about this, we haven't done it yet, to investigate and post city-owned vacant lots that could possibly be made available for sale. To produce potentially a promotional video of Sky Valley for broadcast. To host events such as a classic car show, a food truck event, a beer fest, hiking groups, golf outings, July 4th events, COVID permitting, movie Under the Stars, and potentially a splash pad for kids in the city park area, which I happen to think is a great idea, but again, we haven't looked into what the expense would be in commissions. To add VROB and Airbnb on our website, because Sky Valley is a place people come to, and I believe that when people go to a place, they're looking for things to do and places to go. And in the old days, we used to go to a hotel and open up the drawer and find a directory of things to do. Well, if we can provide it on our website and give people more reasons to come, rather than just a website that is government-oriented, I think we will attract many more people. I have many more other ideas of things we could possibly do, but it's many pages long. In the report that I sent to council members, marketing committee members, to pull up the POA, also the results of the survey and the ideas that people have given to us. We consider all the comments and actually acted upon some of them. And some of them are not logistically and financially possible, but we definitely do want the ideas, because brainstorming is where ideas happen. And we can look at them and consider them, modify them, or come around back to them again and say, hey, maybe we can do that now. So I know that on the website, the city website, under the committees tab, if you go to marketing committee, is my name and my email. So if you'd like, you can communicate with me that way. And that is the report I gave on Tuesday. Thank you for everybody's support. Particularly want to say thank you to the committee, the council, the members of our committee. They've all taken great effort to do things and spearhead things. And the club, as I said at our Tuesday meeting, is the jewel of Sky Valley. And it's good that we're working so cohesively, cooperatively together. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Good report. I want to thank all our committees and our committee chairmen. They've just done a wonderful job of aligning our city's vision and mission statements to their committee workings. And I look forward to seeing how we're going to do well and progress in 2021. Thank you all very much. All right, our next agenda item is city reports, which is usually done by our city manager, but since we have that vacancy, we're going to attempt to do our city reports and hit the main points. We'll start off talking about our front entrance sprinkler. That job has been completed. We have repaired, replaced the sprinkler system in our main entrance. It has been malfunctioning for bunches of years. We either overwatered and drowned the plants, or we didn't water them at all, or we watered the streets. It was not doing well. So we've gotten that all done. That's going to help our landscaping efforts. Obviously, we don't have to have somebody coming over there with buckets of water to water the plants to keep them alive. Also, we have a timer, if I was been told right, James, that you can control the water with a timer.
Yes, ma'am.
That's fantastic. And, I'm glad that that was completed. That's going to make our front entrance look even better. I'm going to ask Bruce, since he's the chairperson of the Special Projects Committee, to talk a little bit about the entrance lighting.
Thank you, Holly. The entrance lighting has been completed, in addition to lighting on the American flag, which is something that has been neglected over the years, and a flag is to be raised 24/7, must be lit, and it is now lit. We've had some discussion about adjusting the lighting, which is something that's going to be ongoing, adjusting the lighting to accent areas and soften some other areas in the evening, so it's a little more welcoming, but great job done. We have approximately 52 lights that have been swapped out and replaced with LED lights. Prior to that, there were 52, of which probably half of them were functioning. So they've all been replaced, and like I say, we will continue to make adjustments on that lighting so that it's pleasing to all residents. Thank you very much.
Our next item on city reports is our road resurfacing report. It's mostly complete. James, I'm going to let you talk about it since you were there and represented the city during the paving.
Okay. Yeah, he's completed all the roads. We'll have to be building up some of the shoulders.
James, I'm sorry.
Oh. All the road stuff is complete. We do have to build up shoulders, but we're waiting to let all the asphalt cure. They say the longer you let it cure, the better it is. About getting equipment on it, that way we don't break the edges and things like that. I've got it lined up for striping. It's probably going to be after Thanksgiving before I get anybody in here to stripe the roads. Everything else is filed in place with him. He's done a great job. I was there with him every day that he was up there to make sure everything was falling in place. He done a great job. I've rode the road many times. Like I said, I think he's above and beyond what y'all do. He done a great job.
Talk about the
Must be added.
additional paving materials, yes.
In Lover's Lane, we had enough of asphalt left over, we was able to do a short road. I got with Holly, and she got with the council. We had some complaints about Lover's Lane, washing out and issues like that. So we was able to go ahead and get him also, while he was here, to do Lover's Lane. So that just gave us one more in the city, we don't have to be gravel and repair this one.
City Park.
And the city park, he's gonna be back, probably tomorrow. I talked to him yesterday. We had some washout issues from the heavy rains where it come across the road and washed out the walking path. He's gonna come in with an asphalt on one side, on the pickleball side. We'll wait and wash it there. That should take care of all of it.
Thank you, James.
You welcome.
I agree. I think all the new paving looks wonderful. Next item, of course, we eliminated item A, the city attorney report. We will have his report at our next meeting. Number 9, I'd like to, is our 2019 audit. I'd like to introduce Jody Nixon. She's going to present our audit.
Thank you, and good morning to Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me here with you today. I know we tried to schedule this a little bit earlier and then it got postponed, but I'm glad that we can meet in person. The 2019 audit this year was different than any other year, as you know, because most of it was virtual. As a matter of fact, all of it was virtual. We normally come on site with our audit team. And I'm sorry that Ella's not here, but I would like to thank Ella and her staff. They worked very diligently and hard in getting us all the documents that we needed, any piece of information, and also talking with us several times over the phone as we did internal control interviews and things like that virtually. So it has been a very different year. I don't have to tell you that with COVID and the storms, but all went well with your audit. You do have some findings, and I want to go over those with you before I go into the presentation of the graphs. You should have all received an electronic copy of the audit. If you do not have one, those are in the office, but I will be glad to send those again if you need that, Mayor. I'm not sure, did those get passed around the council, the audit? Okay, one of the findings that we have is actually a compliance finding with the state, and that was the general fund was over budget by $15,259, and the budget amendment was not made for that item. And that had to do with the area of police and courts. In looking at it, it was simply the way that the loan for the lease was booked into the system. It was booked as revenue against that expense account. So I truly believe that when Ella was looking at that and trying to get the budget amendments together, that did not show up as being over budget because those proceeds had been put in the expense account and netted with that. So when we did the audit and corrected that entry, it had that item over budget by $15,000. Other findings are internal control findings, and these are not new. We discussed this last year as well. Inadequate segregation of duties, of course, with a small staff. In 2018 or 2018, when your city manager left, you were down to 2 staff members, just as you are right now. And until Karen came on board and was fully trained in 2019, you still had the same segregation issues. So you had 2 people essentially doing all the work, all the disbursements, all the processing, without a different set of eyes over that. So they had full control. So I just want to point that out to you. It was mainly from January through April for the internal control part. Also, the bank reconciliations, and we discussed that back in 2018. They had gotten very behind with the city manager being gone. We looked at those. They were behind from January through July of 2019. All the ones that we looked at, and we did pull 20, and they were all current as of the date that Ella left. So we did pull those. But those were findings for 2019 as well as the budget appropriation. Do y'all have any questions on that at all? I've prepared a graphing for you, and I want to go over this, and I will refer back to the audit, but this makes a little bit more, tends to make a little bit more sense to council instead of going over the big audit report. The financial data that we're going to start with, we're going to talk about the government-wide level, and this government-wide includes your general fund and your enterprise fund. So this is everything. So you can see your total revenues in 19 were up, and they were up by about 3.3% over 18. Your expenses were also up, and we're going to talk about that in the slides, but your expenses in comparison to 18 were increased by 9.2%. Page 4 is kind of what I told you about the increases, but if you go to page 5, we've just run some different ratios for you. And self-sufficiency, it looks at the service charges, and those charges for services that you have are your water, your garbage, as well as fines, licenses, and permits, and it looks at what income, how much of that income is covering your total expenses. So for you all in 2019, over 42, almost 43% of your charges for your services were covering your total expenses. That has increased since 2017. Your financial obligations on page 6 is measured by your debt service ratio, and it addresses the total expenses that are actually committed to your annual debt service. Now, keep in mind, this is government-wide, and you have been at 7% across the board since 17. Very, very low ratio, so I commend you for that. Leverage. Leverage addresses the extent to how much of your total assets are actually financed with debt. And for you all, it's low, and you want it to be low. You want your leverage to be low. So in 19, that was 18% versus 21% in 2017. It's important to know that of your capital assets, as of December 31st of 19, you had $7.6 million in capital assets. Your capital assets, less your depreciation, comprise about 58% of your total assets. Any questions so far? Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the general fund, the comparison of revenue and expenses. Yes?
When you talk about capital assets, that includes the water system, that includes...
That's everything.
Does it include roads?
Yes. Everything that has been capitalized for government-wide. So it does include water, garbage, and includes all of your police and your streets. Yes.
Real estate?
I'm sorry?
Does that include real estate we own?
Yes. Your buildings, any improvements that you made. And you actually did, and we'll talk about this further in the slides, but the improvements that you all made in 19 were close to $320,000. In your general fund alone, it was about 188, a little over 188,000. That included fencing, included some vehicles, building improvements that you did for the police department, and also some equipment that you got for your public works. You also had some water improvements, and that was the main bulk of your expenditures on the water side. Over $63,000 was spent on water improvements, and then you did have expenditures for equipment. So in comparing your general fund revenue and expenses for 2019, your revenues were a little bit, it had an increase, but a little bit less than 1% versus 18. Your expenses did increase by 29%, and part of that was what was spent on the capital assets, as I mentioned, over $188,000. On page 10, this is just a pie that shows you your revenues in the general fund and what they're comprised of. And it's no surprise there that property taxes make up your largest source of revenue at 89%. You do get some intergovernmental revenues of grants and SPLOST, and that's at 7%. And then your investment earnings your SPLOST makes up about 1%. Your investment earnings are about 3%. Your charges for services in the general fund comprise about 7% of your revenue. Expense-wise, on page 11, general government comprises about 28% of your total expenses. That's all your administrative in the general government. Your police and courts, 31%. Fires at 7%. Your public works and streets at 28%. And then promotions, tourism, economic development, and housing development are all at 2% of your total expenses. Your leverage in the general fund did increase. It had been at 0 because you did not have any debt in the general fund until 2019. And the debt that you have is on the capital lease for the police vehicle. So that did go to 1%, still extremely low. The loan on the police vehicle matures in 2023. Any questions on the general fund? Okay. Next, we're going to talk about your enterprise fund, which comprises your water and your garbage. You'll see on page 14, your revenues in this fund increased by 8% from 2018 to 19, and about 7.5% overall if you're looking in comparison from 2017. Expenses increased by 2.5% from 18 to 19, but overall have actually decreased by 4%. On page 15, and your charges for services becomes a little bit more important in this fund because you want to make sure that you're covering your expenses. You all are even above that. So you see here that your charges for services are above your total expenditures in this fund, and they have been since 2017. On page 16, your debt ratios, we have your debt service ratio, which is your total debt to total expenses, and that you've maintained that around 19%. Currently, your debt in this fund consists of 2 JIVA loans that you've had for quite a while. One is actually at 0% interest, and one is at 3%. The maturity on those ranges from 2031 to 2033. So, your leverage, your total debt to total assets, is at 32% in 2019. It continues to decrease, and it will as long as you're making those principal payments on those JIVA loans. And in this fund, I think, like I mentioned, you had over $131,000 in capital expenditures that you made. You'll see on page 17, the capital analyzes the condition of your capital assets in this fund by the remaining useful life. So a high ratio suggests that you're investing in that. Anything over 50%, you all are at 54%. It's very important. A lot of people want to know the water infrastructure is very expensive to replace and maintain, but it's also important because it's a big source of revenue. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that infrastructure. Are there any questions? Paul?
Going back to page 15, where it shows a surplus of revenues for our enterprise funds over expenses. What happens to that overage? Does it go into the general budget? Does it stay with the enterprise?
It stays with the enterprise. It is not uncommon to have transfers in between funds, but you all typically pay those back.
When you say transfer within funds, you're talking about the enterprise funds or?
No, it's not uncommon to have a transfer from either general fund to enterprise or enterprise to general fund. You all, the way you do it, there were actually no transfers per se. During the year, you do make transfers to make sure you're covering expenditures, but those are paid back. So they're paid back, they were paid back before the end of this audit year.
So our enterprise fund, it's less than, the difference is less than $50,000. That means that the enterprise funds have an extra $50,000 in their bank account that can be used for future repairs and capital expenditures, whatever.
That's correct.
Vehicles.
That's just for 1 year.
That's just for 1 year, right? Yes. Yes, you all are very liquid. At the end of 19, in the enterprise fund alone, you had almost 1.3 million, and in general fund, almost 1.7 million in your cash accounts.
What's the outstanding balance of our borrowing for the water system?
For the water system, about 1.3 million. As of the end of 19, that's decreased. It went to 20, but
Pretty close to
And one, like I said, is at 0%, so you're not charged interest on that. Any other questions?
So just in an overall sense of 1 to 10 compared to other cities that you work with, how does Sky Valley look financially?
Financially, I would rate you high just because of your low debt. It's uncommon to see cities with not a lot of debt, unfortunately. And you all seem to put a lot of thought, even on the capital lease. You purchased equipment in previous years just outright. But you did do the capital leases. I believe it's an annual payment that you make on that, and it's not a very long maturity. I would probably, oh gosh, I don't want to make it into the other municipalities up there for mad, but your debt is very low in comparison, and to me, that shows strength in your city financials and enables you, it gives you more flexibility in the decisions that you make as far as, what you are doing to replace your infrastructure, do your paving. Paving and infrastructure are the two main concerns of your citizens in any area. And they're the most expensive to take care of. So you have a lot more flexibility with being so liquid. It's very rare also to see a municipality that is as liquid as you are. That help?
All of it,
Yes. You just need to keep in mind your small staff. I know you all are aware that you've got 2 people in there, and Holly and I have talked, about that. There just needs to be some checks and balances, and I think you all are going to be talking about that. I did make a recommendation to Holly for someone to help out in the interim until you got a manager. So that will allow you all to have those checks and balances there and not put that totally on the staff that's in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolie, and I think we'll be getting new T-shirts that says Sky Valley is liquid. Thank you so much. Literally.
Oh,
yeah.
don't do that.
Don't do that, okay. Thank you so much, Jolie. And thank you also for your recommendation for us to consider approving an interim financial consultant to help us not have as many findings, hopefully, in our next year's audit. Thank you so much. And also, Jolie has been wonderful to answer the phone and answer all our questions. So we certainly appreciate all you've done for us. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming today. I told her she could slip out now, so bye. Thank you, Jolie. All right, agenda item number 10, after fulfilling the 2021 budget hearing requirements, I will need a motion to consider a resolution for the adoption of the fiscal year 2021 budget.
So moved.
Thank you, Ed. Second, Jim. Any discussions? All in favor of this resolution, approving this resolution, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, item 11 is I need a motion to consider a resolution for the adoption of the fiscal year millage rate of 15.608, which is the same rate as 2020. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ed. Second? Second, Bruce, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of approving this resolution, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, item number 12 is what we were just talking about, considering the approval of an interim financial consultant contract. I know you've got a copy of it in your council packet. This is certainly going to help us to eliminate future findings on our next audit, also to keep us up to date financially. It's just a judicial way to do it. Jolie offered several suggestions for people who would be appropriate for this. I have talked to Ms. Barbara Kessler. She is experienced in municipal finance, knows our software package, also was a mayor of a Georgia city, and she has accepted our offer. Do I hear a motion to accept her contract? Thank you, Bill. Second. Jim, thank you. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, 13, we're on item 13, I think now, which is to ratify the approval of the 2021 lease agreements, which we've talked a little bit about already. Bill mentioned them. Our current tenants want to continue to rent for 2021. We had them sign the leases because of the time restraints on their lease expiration dates. Do I hear a motion to approve these lease agreements? Thank you, Bill. Second. Thank you, Jim. Any discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, now we're come to the other business, which is the public forum and general comments. If any of our people in the audience would like to make comments, please stand, state your name and your address. Mr. Pointkowski.
Al Pointkowski, 66 Pleasant Mountain Drive. And the mayoral advisory committee remarks relative to the pond. The city has a lease for that land. The CBC has a lease with Merrill for this particular spot. I didn't hear anything about contact with Harrison Merrill for any proposals that you're making. Just a concern. Entrance lighting. In the meetings that I've watched, I haven't been aware of anybody talking about international dark sky or light pollution, which has been a big issue in this country and other countries in the world. I would suggest that members of the council, the committee, look into that, because there are adverse effects on wildlife, on viewing stars, which light screws that up a little bit. And also, those lights, the first time I saw them, I thought that there was a fatal accident with a multi-car accident because there was lights all over that was needed for investigation or extraction of people in cars. I haven't heard any comment or anybody has contacted our police chief relative to the adverse effects of bright lighting on night vision. And I think that's a problem there. Last comment. Stagger Summit Race. My wife Susie and I met with Sean and co-race director Christie and dropped off the bumper stickers, and we see a lot of positive comments about the sign. Everybody liked it. Sean Lanton was the race director. This was his first ultra marathon 8 years ago. And he does his races based on, he doesn't want them boring. He comes back to Sky Valley every year because it's not boring to run up here. They had over 300 participants in the race. 60% of them were from Georgia, then Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee. A total of 22 states were represented. Susie and I went out through racing on Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon, and we spoke with a number of the racers, and they were all very pleased with the work that Sean has done on the Sky to Summit race. A suggestion from someone who has run marathons and mountain goat races would be that maybe the marketing committee could consider next year having a hospitality tent at our city pavilion. Because when someone runs 30 miles through the woods, they use up a lot of calories. And maybe bottled water, coffee, fruit like bananas and oranges would be much appreciated. Another thought, and I hope that somebody from the council and marketing committee went to Sean and Christie and some of the racers and thanked them. When you look at the racers and the relatives and friends, there were probably over 400 people here in Sky Valley over a 2-day period. And if you use a small number of $100 for food and lodging for 2 days for 400 people, that's $40,000 that was spent here in Sky Valley. I think that there should be some attention to this group. And some of the people we talked to, a couple of them are actively looking for property to build in the future. And others have expressed the opinion that it's a really pretty spot to be, and they would consider coming up here on a full-time basis in the future.
Thank you, Al. That was a wonderful report. Thank you for your comments, and thank you to you and your wife for helping to bring this event about this year. And I'd like to ask you a favor, Al. In our Sky Valley Times newspaper this month, could you write up a little bit about that race and what happened, and all that would be great, and send it to Karen. I'd like to put that into the Sky Valley Times.
Actually, just for clarification, most of that information was put together by my wife Susie, so I'll have her do it.
Well, thank her for doing that, because I had no idea that many runners were in the city. That's wonderful. And I loved your suggestion for the marketing committee. I think that's very, very appropriate. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for your comments. Anybody else? All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Ed. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending. Have a good Thanksgiving.